Very good morning, students. So today almost we have covered enthalpy chapter, and this is another portion of enthalpy, you can say, that is very important long question from your board point of view, that is Hess's law of constant heat summation. Hess's law of constant heat summation. Constant heat summation. It states that the enthalpy change during a chemical reaction. Suppose the chemical reaction can occur directly through a single step, or it may proceed through several steps. But what happens? The enthalpy change during the course of a chemical reaction remains same. So you can write down its statement first. It states that the enthalpy change during a chemical reaction remains same whether the reaction can take place in one step or several steps. Suppose a chemical reaction, for example, in explanation I can write, suppose a reactant A, any reaction I am considering, a reactant A get converted into D in a single step. Let's say the enthalpy change, whether the amount of energy absorbed or evolved, that is enthalpy change, that is, let's say, del H. This one is the direct process. Is that clear? And let A converted into D through several steps. Means, let's say first A is converted into A, converted into B, B converted into C, and finally C converted into, let's say, D. That clear? So from A to B, let the enthalpy change, that is del H1. From B to C, the enthalpy change, that is del H2. And from C to D, the enthalpy change, that is del H3. Is that clear? And again you can say this is indirect process, or you can say through several steps. ठीक. So now, according to Hess's law, what can I write? It's del H direct, that is equal to del H, that is equal to del H1 plus del H2 plus del H3. That clear? That means it can be explained in this manner, that suppose A converted into D, I am doing over here, you just see, A convert into B, so enthalpy change, that is del H1. B converted into C, enthalpy change, that is del H2. C finally converted into D, the enthalpy change, that is del H3. So if I add all these several conversions. You see the intermediate space is B, C get cancelled, and finally I am getting A to D. And since I have considered the summation, you can add over here that enthalpy, that will be del H1 plus del H2 plus del H3. So by Hess law, the enthalpy change always remains same whether the process occurs directly or indirectly through several steps. Okay. Now let us do the theoretical proof of Hess law. How particularly actually the enthalpy change remains always equal during this direct way or indirect way. Okay, so that is called theoretical proof. Let us discuss about the theoretical proof of Hess law. So simply I can write proof. Proof, let's say A converted into D direct way. That clear? And here the energy evolved. Suppose I am considering evolution. Okay, evolved, that is Q joule, let's say. That clear? Let's say A again converted into D through several steps. Let's say first one, it is converted into B, and from B to again it is converted into C, and finally it is converted into D. That clear? So from A to B, let the amount of energy evolved, that is Q1, B to C, that is Q2, and C to D, that is Q3. And overall I can write over here, that is Q dash joule. Let's say from A to D, that is a direct process. Direct process. And here from A to D again same reaction, that is indirect process. Indirect process. So in indirect process, the amount of energy evolved, that is Q dash, that is equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3. That's clear? You see, if A to D, I am proceeding in this way, the amount of energy evolved, that is Q dash joule, which is equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3. And from A to D direct way, the amount of energy evolved, that is Q joule. So if A to D Q joule amount of energy is evolved, then from D to A in reverse way, from D to A indirectly I can say Q joule amount of energy is absorbed. From A to D energy is released. From D to A indirectly energy is in reverse way, energy is absorbed. That clear? It's very simple. So in order to prove the Hess law, according to Hess law, Q joule must be equal to Q dash joule. Okay, so more fundamental, according to Hess law, this Q joule must be equal to Q dash joule. Is that clear? So for proof, let Q is not equal to Q dash. Then my first consideration, I can consider either Q is greater than Q dash or Q is less than Q dash. Let us assume, okay, let us assume Q dash is greater than Q. Q dash is greater than Q. So if Q dash is greater than Q, then in a single cycle, you just see, cycle means if you start your journey from A to D, the amount of energy evolved, that is Q dash, and from D to A, the amount of energy absorbed, that is Q j. And you see this Q dash is greater than that of Q, I have assumed over here. So from A to, I can write over, little bit of language is there, from A D. In indirect way, the amount of energy released is equal to Q dash joule. Now from D to A, in direct process, Q joule amount of energy is absorbed. So in a complete cycle starting from A to D to A, in a single complete cycle, the amount of energy released, that will be equal to how much? Q dash minus Q. Suppose here the amount of energy released, that is 50 joule, and here the from D to A amount of energy absorbed, that is 40 joule. So how much amount of energy is released in a complete cycle? 10 joule. Exactly same thing over here, as I have considered Q dash is greater than Q. So I can write over here, in a complete cycle, in a single complete cycle, the amount of energy released is equal to Q dash minus Q joule. Q dash minus Q joule. Okay, thus by repeating this cycle again and again, large amount of energy is released. Okay, thus by repeating this process again and again, a huge amount of energy is released. Huge amount of energy is released, which is against first law of thermodynamics, which is against the first law of thermodynamics. First law of thermodynamics. First law of thermodynamics is against the first law of thermodynamics. Thus, according to first law of thermodynamics, you know, the energy is conserved. That means energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. Here the energy is created, energy is released again and again. That is against the first law of thermodynamics. So our conclusion is, we only can write that Q, that is equal to Q dash. That means if Q is equal to, I can say, del H, and this Q1, Q2, Q3, this one can be del H1, and this Q2 can be del H2, this Q3 can be del H3, then we only can write that del H, that is equal to del H1 plus del H2 plus del H3. So this one is the theoretical proof of Hess's law of constant heat summation. Clear? So for example, if I consider, for example, let us consider the formation of a carbon dioxide. The formation of carbon dioxide, CO2. that is by direct process, what can I write? Carbon solid plus O2 gas giving rise to CO2 gas, and here the enthalpy of combustion, or you can say enthalpy change, del H minus 3 that will be equal to 93.5 kilojoule. That clear? So by indirect process, I can write carbon solid plus 1/2 O2 gas giving rise to CO gas, carbon monoxide gas. Okay, so you see carbon first converted into carbon monoxide, and here del H1 you can say, that is minus 0.5 kilojoule. Again this carbon monoxide gas plus half O2 gas get converted into CO2 gas. Then here del H2, that will be equal to minus 283.0 kilojoule. You see, in direct process the value of del H, that is this much, and in indirect process which occurs in two steps, the del H1 this much and del H2 this much. So you just add these two equations in order to get this target equation, that will be CO get cancelled. Again you are getting this equation, half O2 half O2 gas giving rise to CO2 gas, and here this del H is nothing but just add these two, you will get 393 minus 393.5 kilojoule. So Hess's law is verified from this example. Whether a reaction can occur in a direct way or indirect way, the enthalpy change always remains same, that is minus 393.5, and here also the same result. Okay. So students, you see, you have to calculate the heat of formation del HF for the formation of ethanol from the following data equations. You see how you solve. Look carefully how to solve, how to find out the enthalpy of formation of a compound from the data equations. Okay, so this is one of the important applications of your Hess law. So you just write down the formation of ethanol first. You see, focus about its molecular formula, that is C2H5OH. So how many carbon atoms are there? 2 carbon atoms are there. So you just write down the target equation, that is, I can say target equation. So target equation is the formation of ethanol. So 2C, so I need 2 carbon solid plus, you see how many hydrogens are there? 6 hydrogen atoms are there. So 6 hydrogen means 3H2, I can write 3H2 gas plus 1 oxygen atom is there, I can write half O2 gas giving rise to, you can write C2H5OH liquid. And for this equation you have to calculate del H is equal to how much with the help of these equations. Clear? So you just focus the equation, this target equation, the 2C means you have to multiply 2 with the equation 2. So I can write equation 2 into equation 2. I can get 2C over here, 2CS plus, this is my target equation. You have to find out this equation anymore. So 2 into equation 2, 2CS plus 2O2 gas giving rise to 2 CO2 gas, and here also you have to multiply with its enthalpy, that is 2 into minus 393.5. Clear? You need 3H2. Find out where is H2. Here So equation 1 into 3. So 1 into 3 H2. So equation 3 into equation 3. What I will get? 3 H2 gas plus 3 by 2 O2 gas giving rise to 3 H2O gas. So here also you have to multiply 3. So 3 into minus 241.8. Clear? So this one is the expression. 2C I have got, 3H2 I have got, and I need half O2. So half O2, just see where is O2 and here is O2. Okay, equation 3O2 is there. So I have to find out the C2H5OH at right side. So what I have to do, I just reverse this equation. Okay, reverse this equation so that the C2H5 will be in that side, and here 2O2 and here will be simply O2. Okay, let me clear about this. Sorry students, so here will be 2CO2. So you just reverse this equation because we need this ethyl alcohol at right side, and here in the equation 3 it is present at left side. So I have to reverse this one. That will be 3 H2O gas plus 2 CO2 gas giving rise to C2H5OH liquid plus 3O2 gas. And what about its enthalpy? It is in minus, since the equation being reversed, so you can put a positive sign over here. So that will be plus 1234.7. Fine. Now just add these three equations. What you will get over here? 2CS, that is present in our target equation. Yes, 2CS. Next 3H2, I need 3H2 is over here, 3H2 gas plus half O2 I need, half O2 here, 3 by 2 O2 plus 2 O2. Just calculate how much? 3 by 2 plus 2. So that will be 7 by 2 O2. Okay, so this will be 7 by 2 O2 plus 2 CO2 giving rise to 2 CO2 gas plus 3 H2O gas plus C2H5OH liquid. That clear? Now before go through addition of values, you just look over here. So 2 CO2 get cancelled, and there is 3 H2O over here and 3 H2O over here also. So 3 H2O get cancelled. So there is no question of water over here. You can see only C2H5 is at right side. And what about this O2? 7 by 2 O2, and here 3 O2 is there. Only 3 O2 is there. So I can write it again. 2CS plus 3H2 gas plus O2. 7 by 2 O2 and 3 O2. So that will be 7 by 2, 3 O2 again belongs to this side. So that will be 7 by 2 minus 3. That will be 1 by 2 O2. 1 by 2 O2. I need this one. 1 by 2 O2 gas. Clear? Giving rise to only C2H5OH liquid. So what we do over here? Just add all these values. So again, so here I have to find out the del H, del HF, formation of ethanol. Then you just add this one, and this one. So the final answer coming out to be minus 277.7 kilojoule per mole. So this one is the answer. Okay, so anyhow you have to find out this target equation, then you proceed. Next you see in this numerical, calculate the formation of acetylene from these data. So acetylene formula, that is C2H2. This one is acetylene. Okay, so in order to form this acetylene, that will be, I need 2 carbon solid plus H2 gas, then I can get C2H2, acetylene gas will be there. So you see 2C, so where is this one, equation 1, so 2C already there, no need to multiply anything. So this is my target equation, and I have to find out del HF is equal to how much. Equation 1 will be like this. This one is, let's say, equation 1, equation 2, and this one is equation 3. So 2C already there, and I need 1 H2, and here 1 H2 is there. So you just add equation 1 and 2, and C2H2 you have to reverse this equation. Okay, so right now you just write down 2CS as usual, 2O2 gas giving rise to 2CO2 gas, and here del H, that is equal to minus 787 kilojoule. So this is equation 1, and H2 gas plus half O2 gas giving rise to H2O liquid. Here this del H, that is equal to minus 286 kilojoule. It remains as equation 2, and you just reverse this equation, third one, that is 2CO2 gas plus H2O liquid giving rise to C2H2 gas plus 5/2 O2 gas. And here the sign of del H will be reversed, that will be 1301 kilojoule. So this one is equation 3. Now just add all these equations, see what happens. 2CS, anyhow I have to get my target equation, 2CS plus H2, yes H2 is there, H2 gas plus 2O2 plus half O2. Okay, so that will be 5/2 O2, 5/2 O2 plus 2CO2 plus H2O liquid giving rise to 2CO2 plus H2O plus C2H2 gas plus 5/2 O2. Clear? So 5/2 O2 beta 5/2 O2 get cancelled, and H2O liquid get cancelled. Now you just see 2CO2 get cancelled. So I have got my target equation, that is, I have already got my target equation, that is 2CS plus H2 gas giving rise to C2H2 gas, and what will be the del HF? You can see, just add these 3 and get the answer, that will be just add minus 787 point, and you just solve it, and you will get the answer 228 kilojoule. So that will be minus 787 minus 286 plus 1301, that will be equal to 228 kilojoule. So this one will be the answer. Next we will discuss bond energy. Clear? Bond energy. Bond energy. Definition: bond energy means, during the formation of a bond, what happens? Energy is released. So whatever the amount of energy is released, this much amount of energy is also required to break the bond. That is called bond dissociation energy also. So bond energy, it is defined as the amount of energy defined as the amount of energy required to break 1 mole of bond of a particular type of atoms in gaseous state. That is called bond energy. For example, if I consider in case of water, it is written as H2O. Okay, so how many OH bonds are there? 2 OH bonds are there. This one and this one, 2 OH bonds are there. So here you can consider average bond energy. Average bond energy in the sense, so first one, let's say water splits into H plus OH, and here the enthalpy change, that is given as 497.8 kilojoule per mole. Clear? So all are in gaseous form, because in gaseous form the energy required will be minimum. So here you see the positive sign is assigned because energy is required to break the interaction. So one OH is also there. This OH again breaks into H gas plus OH. Again it is split into oxygen plus hydrogen. And here the value of del H, that is given as 428.5 kilojoule per mole. Okay, so if I need to calculate the bond energy BE, that will be equal to 497.8 plus 428.5 upon 2, average I have to consider. So that will be equal to 463.15 kilojoule per mole. This is the bond dissociation energy in case of water. Clear? Similarly, for if I consider for CH4, how many CH bonds are there? 4 CH bonds are there. You see in CH4, let's say in CH4, how many carbon hydrogen bonds are there? 4 carbon hydrogen bonds are there. So let's say the bond dissociation energy I need to calculate in case of methane. Clear? So in case of methane, the total energy, if I consider methane CH4, it can breaks into CH4 gas, carbon plus 4 hydrogen. It can be splitted like this, and all are in the form of gases, carbon gases, hydrogen also gases. CH4 giving rise to C gas, 4H gas. And here the overall energy that is given as in this process 1664 kilojoule mole inverse. If I need to calculate its bond dissociation energy CH, bond dissociation energy, that will be 1664 divided by how many bonds are there? 4 divided by 4. So that will be 4 divided by 4, that will be 415 kilojoule per mole. Just see. Okay, so this is bond dissociation energy. And how can you calculate the bond dissociation energy? Okay, so heat of reaction you can calculate by applying this bond energy data. Okay, that will be heat of reaction. I can write heat of reaction that is equal to bond energy of reactants minus bond energy of products. Bond energy of reactants minus bond energy of product, or you can say del H heat of reaction, that is equal to summation of bond energy of reactants minus summation of bond energy of products. Very important, just remember this formula. Clear? So students, now this question, heat of formation of 2 moles of ammonia is minus 90 kilojoule. Clear? So del H reaction, that is formation, heat of formation of 2 moles of ammonia, that is minus 90 kilojoule. Clear? Bond energies of HH and NH bonds are, so bond energy of HH and NH, these two are given as 435 kilojoule mole inverse and 390 kilojoule mole inverse respectively. The value of bond energy of dinitrogen, how much? This one, how much? Just write down this equation, formation of ammonia, that will be N2, that can be written as like this, N2 plus H2 giving rise to 2 moles ammonia, 2 NH3. Okay, so N2 plus you can write 3H2, so that there will be 6 hydrogen, 6 hydrogen. This equation is balanced. Okay, so for this reaction, del H is given you minus 90 kilojoule. So find out the bond dissociation enthalpy of dinitrogen. So let's say that is X. H, we know this del HF, that is summation of bond energy of reactants minus summation of bond energy of products. So you can calculate this del HF, that is minus 90, that will be equal to bond energy of reactant, that will be X plus 3 into, for one hydrogen bond dissociation enthalpy is 435 minus bond energy of products, in products that is 2 NH3, so that will be each NH having 390, so 2 NH3 can be written as 2 NH3 like this. So how many NH bonds are there? In 1 mole 3, for 2 mole 6, so that will be 6 into, how many NH bonds are there? 6. So 6 into, that is 390. So you just solve it and find out the value of X. So value of X, that will be 945 kilojoule per mole. 945 kilojoule per mole. This is the bond dissociation enthalpy or bond energy of dinitrogen.